It's the WALT Pod fan phone in. Welcome to Luton Town, Reuell Walters. This is a signing I'm very excited about. And also with me tonight, my co-host, Mark Ryman. How are you getting on tonight, Mark?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Looking forward to a nice uneventful 30 minutes or so.
What do you mean? Nothing happened last time, right?
Correct. Not saying anything else.
Well, look, if you love the WALT Pod and you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Look, there's been a lot of transfer talk going around today, and Rob Edwards has given like a long interview as well. So we'll just round it all up before we get to get to fan calls. So also, if you do want to speak tonight, if you have a point about Reuell Walters, please request to speak. We'll get to you. So I said it's been a busy day, right? Lots of links. We've also had that incoming of Reuell Walters, but a couple of things that went round today. Ted and Mengi linked to Nice. Personally, I don't think they have the money to make anything happen. We're not. I've heard we're not inclined to sell. We're not looking to sell this this window, and that was also backed up by what Rob Edwards said. No one wants to leave. I've also heard that the sell on for Man United is between 15 and 20%, which I find is quite forgiving for when we do eventually sell him. But he's not going anywhere, is he, Mark?
I really hope not. I like your confidence. I think it was good that it happened, but the rumor happened on the same day that Rob Edwards, as you just said, sort of came out and said, we don't need to sell. I think that quelled some people's fears. He's always going to get linked anyway, isn't he? I mean, he's a quality player. And he's clearly key to the squad. The way he spoke towards the end of the season makes me think that he doesn't have intention to leave as well. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, let's hope he does stay. I imagine our resolve will be tested. Also, we discussed Alan Campbell on the previous fan phone in, and we all sort of agreed that he was on his way out, although he's a fan favourite. Rob has pretty much confirmed that Alan Campbell is on his way out. But for Alan, he's one where I hope we can make some money. He's in what I assume is his final year of the contract, and I hope we don't just loan him out until his contract expires and then just let him go, or that we mutually terminate and let him go, because he's an asset to the club, regardless of whether it's worked out for him at Luton or not. I feel he's had some success here. He's 26. In my opinion, he's a talent. And there's a lot of football left in his legs, and we can't just let him go for nothing, can we?
No, we can't. I agree with you, but at the same time, he hasn't played much football for the last season and a half. So it's not going to help any, as you said last phone in. He barely played for Millwall and clearly didn't rate him as well. So it's going to be tough to get too much for him. Just shows how ruthless Edwards can be as well with that. I guess same we saw last season for Giles too. If he doesn't see him as part of the plans, that's it. There's no hanging around for these players.
Yeah, another player that's not hanging around, Gabe Osho. The club cast some shade, didn't they, in their release after Gabe himself tweeted out that he wasn't staying. He's joined Auxerre. It's a bit of a every fan has been saying, what a weird deal. Why has he gone to Auxerre? And it's even weirder that he signed a 1-year deal. In my opinion, it looks like he's just going to do the deal, try and attract some attention over in the top league of France, which no one watches anyway, and then try and get in the shop window and maybe get a move to the Premier League. It's a funny move, right?
It's really weird, and I did really enjoy the conspiracy theories that have been going on for like the last 24 hours. But
You fell for it.
yeah. Oh, I was definitely banging the drum as well, thinking there's something weird going on. Like the club retweeted it, but that's it, nothing else. Even Naismith got a send off pretty quickly, so it was an odd one. Yeah, like you said, a year as well suggests that he's only there to kind of, as you said, put himself in the shop window. I guess maybe there was another deal lined up that fell through. Sheffield United were rumoured, weren't they? I'm glad he's not gone there. But obviously, the mess that they're currently in until their new ownership, in inverted commas, comes in, then they can't obviously follow through with a deal, right? I guess until that happens. So maybe that was the reason. I don't know.
Yeah, that new ownership that they keep talking about, they keep banging on about it, don't they? The Sheffield United fans, like, when our new owners come, we're gonna be buying up the Championship. We're gonna buy our way to the Premier League. But it's quite pathetic in reality, because
Well, they're going to
this
need
has
to at
been
this rate.
dragging
They've
on.
lost half their squad.
Yeah, they've lost half the squad. They've lost like some really good players, and they could even miss out on Harrison Burrows, like a player that they've agreed personal terms with. He's a player I really want at Luton, but I feel we don't need Burrows if we manage to keep Doughty. But one of those, if we didn't get rid of Doughty early, then obviously we'd naturally miss out on Burrows, because Burrows is going to go somewhere. But I'm delighted the Sheffield United aren't going to get Burrows, because yeah, well, they might. Who knows? It's not decided yet. Maybe their new owners will complete the transaction and buy the club really quickly and seamlessly. Who knows? But it's been dragging on for like so long, so I just don't see it. Another one that happened today, the Secret Scout. He's quite good when it comes to youth players. So a player that literally no one in Luton has heard of, Leon Ruth, or Ralph. He's a 16-year-old centre-back from our academy. He's apparently lined up by Aston Villa. We're just trying to agree a fee. It's a bit weird that, considering he's the same age as Christian Chigozie, who actually did make it into our matchday squad last year. If this guy's so highly rated, I don't know why Christian Chigozie was picked ahead of him. If Leon Ralph is that good, but ultimately doesn't matter. He's going to Aston Villa. But anyway, let's go on with discussing our new signing. Mark, what are your thoughts about Reuell Walters?
Yeah, it's an exciting one. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I knew much about him, as I think most people said when it was announced. But clearly exciting talent. I've read the thread that was put on by, I think, Luton Analytics, and from Arsenal when he was with them, and the kind of player that he is. He sounds like a ball carrying fullback, but can also play across the back line. And Rob Edwards likes to play with versatility, as we saw when we signed Hashi last season as well. He's obviously great pedigree from the setup that he's been in, and it helps to kind of push an agenda of signing more young players with the potential to grow. To be a real prospect and a more of a sellable asset, I suppose, on the side of that as well, which is tends to be the kind of model of how most of clubs are doing things now. So yeah, I mean, exciting. I don't know how much first team game time he'll get. Obviously, he's in the picture, isn't he? Well, it seems to be that way. He wants more game time, and Rob mentioned it. So we'll see how it plays out with obviously Hashi in that position as well. But yeah, excited.
Yeah. So I actually spoke to Art de Roche, who is the athletic reporter for Arsenal, and he got wind of this like days ago. So he knew it was happening, and from people that probably noticed that our Reuell Walters post went out pretty quickly, we got wind of it a couple of days ago as well. We are Luton Town, so we've been looking into him, and we've been asking around about him, and people who follow the Hale End, so that's like the Arsenal development. Essentially, anyone from the academy is called the Hale End lot, and there is absolute devastation that he's failed to break into the first team squad. He was one that was earmarked to be the next thing, really. And they made another signing at right back, and obviously Reuell just feels there's no pathway to the first team for him. And like, fair play to him for dropping down. Like, sure, he's not dropping down the same amount of levels that Pelly Ruddock dropped down when he went from West Ham to Luton all those years ago. Same age though. think it was 19 when Pelly dropped down. Like, fair play to him for making that decision to, take a step back. Possibilities to get into the first team are going to be so much easier at Luton because, like, realistically, who's he got ahead of him? He's got Chidozie Ogbene, who can play right wing back. He's got Daiki Hashioka, like Izakabore's gone. Alfie Doughty can play right wing back, but you ultimately want Alfie Doughty playing left wing back, and Alfie Doughty might not even be here come the start of the season. Who knows? But I feel he's one that can, he can fill for the vacated position left by Gabe when Gabe played right centre back. Although Reece Burke is a better defender, in my opinion, than Gabe Osho any day of the week. It's just the fitness that's the problem. But Reuell can fill in the right centre back, but primarily you want him playing right wing back because from all reports, he's a very powerful runner. He's very good at carrying the ball, and that's ultimately what you want. But should we open up to some callers? Right. If anyone wants to give your opinion, or, you can tell us how much you don't know about Reuell, but feel free, request to speak. Christian, you waited patiently. Good evening, afternoon to you. How are you doing?
Good as always, Ollie, and as always a pleasure to be on the phone in. I just want to touch on what you said about Gabe Osho going to France. You are right that nobody really watches the French league, but that's more because they don't have a TV deal. So I don't know where they're getting the money to pay Osho.
Mate, there's a reason they don't have a TV deal.
Well, yeah, I know.
An absolute joke of a league.
Yeah, I know. So I'm not exactly sure where Gabe Osho is getting paid from, because as far as I know, those recently promoted French sides don't even have the money to make transfers. As it pertains to Walters, I think he's a really good signing, a very interesting signing. He's a very good signing because you listen to what Arsenal and their supporters have to say about him. They have nothing but positive things to say about him. He's fast. He passes well. He's strong. He's not afraid to go after the ball. I mean, all qualities that we kind of lacked at points last season. So I think this is a really good sign on that front. I also think it's a really good piece of business because Luton Town have gone out and they've signed one of the best, youth right backs that there is out there on the free transfer market. I mean, any other summer, he'd probably cost us between $4 to $5.5 million, and we got him for virtually nothing. That's highway robbery types of business. But yeah, and that's highway robbery levels of business there. I think it's an interesting signing because he strikes me as the type of player that he really should be like somewhere in the Premier League, maybe on a loan to like Brighton or Fulham. But he turned down a contract at Arsenal to go and see what he could do without those big six connections, and he's now landed at Luton Town. I mean, this is a player that realistically we shouldn't be getting most of the time. Like this is probably one of the best signings that I've ever been around for. I mean, certainly has to be one of the best signings I've ever been around for with Luton Town. But I also think that it's kind of maybe a message to how we're going to approach transfers from now on. I said earlier in the Discord that this is kind of a statement, and you have to think the club is now maybe rethinking how it sees viable transfers, because I don't think that Luton Town makes this move last summer. I didn't even think Luton Town would make this kind of move this summer. When I found out that he was making his way to Luton Town, I was absolutely shocked because he is an amazing player and is playing at a level that really should be well above the championship. Once again, I think he really should be in the Premier League realistically.
But Christian, does it concern you that he hasn't played any men's football yet?
No, because he's 19. If he was like 23, 24 and hadn't played any first team football, I would say, okay, yeah, it's a little bit concerning. But he's 19. He's about to turn 20 in December. So he's not someone I'm concerned about. He has a few like bench cameos for Arsenal, and I believe he was actually on the bench against us back in, what was it, March, April. So he obviously had the ability to break through, but just never had the opportunity. So it doesn't concern me at all. I actually think that this is the exact opposite of concerning. If anything, this should be a hallelujah moment, because he's finally going to get to show what he can do in the first team.
It is a, I don't want to say paradigm shifting, because I got a lot of stick from the Luton fans when I said that. It certainly is a good sign that we're picking up free agents from Arsenal. I believe the other kid that didn't get a contract from Arsenal, although I don't think it was they didn't get contracts. I think they both rejected contracts because they wanted to get some first team football. The other kid, I can't think of his name. He's gone to Brighton now, so that's that is a fantastic pedigree that we're getting. But look, the last kid we got from the Arsenal academy who was released was Joe Johnson, and he's representing England at various youth levels, isn't he? So I don't think anything can go wrong. He's actually, I think he's older than Joe Johnson. I think I calculated he's 14 months older than JJ. So we could potentially have the youngest wing-back pairing in the league if they both start a game together. So we're one. But thank you very much, Christian. Really appreciate you, mate. Right, let's bring on producer Matt. Producer Matt, unmute yourself. How are you getting on?
Ollie, yeah, absolutely fantastic, mate. How about you?
Yeah, doing good.
Gotta say, love the idea of getting defenders. That's what I really like.
He's a right wing back who can play centre back as well. How good is that?
Yeah, that's the main thrust of what I like about the signing. Defence is an issue, I feel, with obviously Osho going, and obviously I imagine Lockyer probably won't be back playing next season if the decision is ever made about that this season or whenever. Get as many defenders in, get the depth of squad that we need for the season that's coming up. We haven't lost, in my opinion, obviously outside the loanees and Barkley, we haven't lost anything truly horrific yet. So I think get someone in with a bit of quality that can grow into a good player into the team, as well as obviously Baptiste, get that kind of depth of squad that we need, because there's going to be so many games coming up in this next championship season.
Yeah, so many games. And also on the bright side, because Walters is 19, he doesn't have to be registered. So that's an extra space that we have to play with now. Interestingly, you mentioned the players that were leaving. You mentioned Barkley. Rob Edwards mentioned these players as well earlier. I'll take this to you, Mark and Matt. So he mentioned a midfielder and one or two more. So that's three players. But he also said, if needed, there is money to spend. Now, we're not going to be hitting the heights of 20 mil. That's just absurd to think that. Don't know who said that, but there is money to spend. Like, how much of that do you reckon we end up spending, Matt?
I think it'll be close to the 10 mil mark. Sorry, that's 10 mil. Not talking to you, Mark. Sorry. I reckon 10 mil. I think defence is the area that needs the most love and care. Midfield is the other place I think is going to need a bit of care. I think up front, as long as Adebayo doesn't go or any of the others, I think we'll be all right in the attack in front. It's just defence and midfield. That's where I'm at.
What about you, Mark? You think we're going to be dropping money on a midfielder?
No, in Luton, it'll probably be about £1, because we love signing people on a free. So, but what I would say to Matt's point on defence, I mean, don't forget we've got Mads Anderson coming back into the side, and Tom Holmes, who is the more natural Lockyer replacement as well, who we signed last season. So I know the ridiculous amount of injuries that we had there last season, but actually I think we were quite well equipped in that department, despite the fact we got so many injuries. there's been rumours of some relatively big players, haven't there? Ratsaki's, I think, supposed to be a loan. The rumour about it, although that's every club in the Championship now has been linked with him. And O'Brien at Forest, I think Forest want to sell him. So if something like that became available, then I see us pushing towards sort of the top end, towards 10 mil for a player like that. I think Lewis O'Brien's fantastic player.
There's a Zoe
really
from Crystal Palace as well, right?
Yeah, and I think he would be more likely a permanent, wouldn't he? I think that was the rumor if it was him, but Ratsaki would be a loan. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think if those players became available to us, I think then we'd push it definitely. But you know, Luton do Luton things in the transfer window, and you know our best player since I can remember in Ross Barkley signed for nothing. So you know money isn't always everything in the players that we get as well. It's about getting the right players as well. So who knows? But it could easily be nothing or close to nothing, 2 or 3 mil. That's all I'm saying.
It would be peak Luton to go through an entire transfer window and not spend a penny. But the thing is, they'd all be absolutely banging signings. You just know it.
Yeah, I mean, look at our frees that we've got. Jordan Clark and Ross Barkley are perfect examples of that.
Yeah, well, you know, you could say that our frees are actually better business than the players that we've dropped money on. Like Ryan Giles, he was a flop. He's gone, and it looks like he's moving on again, this time to Middlesbrough. And well, Mads Anderson, I think he's got a big point to prove this season. You know, what with having been out injured all season, I think he's got to play every game now. He's got to show that he's, you know, not here to just take a shirt. He's got to play every single game. I'm trying to think who else. Tahith Chong, yeah, he's had moments, hasn't he? But at the same time, we dropped like 4 mil on him, and he gave us that great moment against Liverpool. He had a good purple patch as well.
He was great towards the end of the season when we had all those injuries. He was easily our best player for me. He was great then. But you're right, a bit hot and cold towards the start.
Yeah, right. So let's bring in our next speaker. We got Simon. How are you doing this evening, Si?
I'm doing good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. So another signing, free.
Decent.
Yeah, we got a fair bit to go until we get to your prediction.
Listen, I knew it. I was saying to you on WhatsApp earlier, I was like, oh, come on, but don't you be cheeky to me. But here we are.
No,
man, good signing.
You also said to me on WhatsApp, yeah, we'll sign Ben Sheaf for 20 mil.
No, you said that. You said that. Get it right.
Nah, mate. When have I ever been known to bait? I never bait.
Listen, you've had enough trouble this week. Don't get yourself into any more.
So how do you feel about Reuell Walters, mate?
Good signing. Seems like he's got a lot of potential. It seems like a lot of the Arsenal fans were sad to see him go. A lot of them came on our post on when the club posted about it, and they seem sad to see him go. They seem to rate him highly. Looks like he wants first team football week in, week out. Don't blame him for taking a chance on himself and going on a permanent as opposed to a loan he probably could have got.
Yeah, like look, sometimes with a loan, yeah, you keep that security of being at your parent club, but ultimately for him, and this comes across really well in his interview at Luton that they dropped when he signed, he's ready for first team football. He wants to play first team football. He's rode the bench too many times, really.
He seems like a really nice lad. Another one, again, I swear we say this every transfer, fits in with the ethos of the club. You know, seems like a down-to-earth guy, is only going to grow with the players that are surrounding him because of the community in the dressing room between all the lads. Gabe Osho, I'm sad to see him go. I'm not going to lie. I know that we've sort of been resigned to Gabe going, but it's nice to see players like this coming in who are like the next generation, the new blood, and see how they get on because the Championship's rough, mate.
Yeah, well, talking about the Championship, Joe Taylor was linked by what is it? Sports Pito?
Pete O'Rourke.
Yeah, Pete O'Rourke. He's normally quite good. He's the one that broke Shandon Baptiste's news, wasn't he?
Can't be serious.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you about this. So he's been linked to a whole host of championship clubs, and one in particular, including Watford. So, what are your thoughts about that?
You know that I rate him. I rate Joe Taylor. I don't want to see him go anywhere. I want to see him around our squad this season. I think he's just ready. He's not going Watford. Let's not start being silly. I just don't see it happening. They'd have to pay silly money for him, surely, for us to even think about it. And even then, I think we'd second guess it.
Yeah, surreal that Pete O'Rourke even thought about linking him. Like, there's no way that Gary Sweet is going to authorize a move to Watford.
Not a chance.
No. There's I think the only other club he wouldn't sell to would be MK.
Yeah, he turned down a high offer for them in the past. I remember vaguely. We got bid a silly amount for someone, and Gary Sweet just offhand declined it. Didn't want to do business with him, and respect to him for that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Right, Si, I'm going to go to the next speaker.
Before I go, Ollie, I just want to say excellent work today in putting that video together in 1 minute to get it out there. I think phenomenal work, mate. Keep up that kind of speed. You're doing great.
Thank you. I think you'll find it was 59 seconds. I was just
amazing,
really
just incredible.
Yeah.
Have a good evening, lads.
You too, mate. You too. Right, next speaker, final speaker of the night. We got Steve Moore. How are you getting on tonight, Steve?
I'm not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, doing well. I haven't spoken to you for ages. I hope you're all good, mate.
Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah.
Yeah, just waiting for the season to start. What are your thoughts about Reuell Walters?
I'm pleased with that. To be entirely honest, it basically gives us a young option at both wing back positions now. With him, 2 years older than JJ on the other side?
Yeah, less than 2 years. It's like 14 months.
And as has already been mentioned, the fact that he's been offered, it sounds like he was offered an extension at Arsenal and he's decided to back himself. I obviously hope he hasn't come with too many guarantees on our side that you're going to be part of this first team squad, but you're not going to be guaranteed to start, but you're going to be in the mix. And I think that leaves us in an okay position at right wing back, certainly now, because you've got Benny who can play there, Reuell can play there, Hashi, who might finally get a chance to play in his actual preferred position for once, and even Jacob Brown can play there. So that's 4 guys that can comfortably play right wing back. I know Walters can play.
Don't you prefer Hashi at right centre back rather than right wing back? Because we saw Hashi at right wing back, couldn't send in a cross to save his life.
How much did we see? He played 45 minutes there all season. That was on his debut against Manchester City.
No, he played there.
Every other time he played, I think he played centre half. And
he played right wing against Wolves. Oh, Fulham. No, it was Wolves. He was terrible.
I'll be honest, I wasn't at Wolves, so I'll give you that one. That's probably why I missed that one. But I've only seen him at the right centre half, so I thought I could give him a reasonable go at right wing back. What I'm saying is we shouldn't be rushing to, because I think Chio would possibly be his first option at right wing back to start the season anyway. Let's be honest, presuming he's fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've got 4 guys who can play there, and yeah, I think we're taking a little bit of a gamble with Walters, but it's no more of a gamble than we took 12 months ago with Tenga. I'm not expecting it to turn out like that, but it's the kind of gamble we need to be making.
Well, he could turn out like Ted Mengi. It's that type of signing, isn't he? Like a completely outdated player.
I'm not saying I know he's going to have the impact Tenga Mengi is. That's my point. But there is that upside. That is the ceiling. I mean, the floor could be a guy that doesn't make it. That's the risk we take. But I don't. It's not a high risk to make. So it's a perfect signing of a player under 21 for us to make.
Okay, and I've got to ask you, as a Welshman, what do you make of this Joe Taylor link to Watford? And when's Joe Taylor going to make it into the Welsh national team?
Well, it'll be interesting. I think everything's up for grabs now. Craig's in charge, and I know you probably don't care, but given the other options, actually, Craig Bellamy was the guy I wanted to be the Wales manager, which tells you where the other options were.
I'm happy it wasn't Rob Edwards. I'm happy it wasn't Rob.
We couldn't afford Rob Edwards.
Yeah.
Wales the FAW couldn't afford Rob Edwards. Remember, Chris Coleman left the Wales job to go to Sunderland. So when they were falling through the floors. But no, I think it's an unusual one based on the fact that we're presuming that given the type of owner he is and the type of negotiator Darren McCanton he is, that there's probably quite a reasonable sell on Joe Taylor. And given the fact we have been relegated and it does look like playing in the Championship is his next step, it would seem that his current value to us would be more as a squad player than any money we could get, given the sell-on we would have to pass on to Peterborough. I mean, from a Cymru point of view, I'd probably rather see him get a chance to start more games than he potentially would at Kenilworth Road, but I think he would definitely be a huge part of our squad and certainly would be an exceptional impact sub, no matter where we were at centre forward. And given that you would still probably expect Adebayo to go at some point during this summer, even though he's obviously a very different type of centre forward, there is a thinning out of the options there, particularly if we're really talking about Benny being a right wing back, because I don't see him playing through the middle for us.
I don't know about you two. Sorry to interrupt, Steve. I just feel like Chio's not wasted at wing back. That's unfair. He's been brilliant there, but I think I'd much prefer him further forward. I really would. I was going to say this when you mentioned it earlier. I'd much prefer seeing Chio further up the pitch personally, but maybe that's just me.
But playing right wing back, he can play really far forward. Like we saw it against Brighton, was it? I think he played right wing back, and he was one of the furthest players up the pitch at some points. So, you know, it could happen.
So, but I think our wing backs, but I mean, obviously, we kind of almost played. I wanted to go back to something Craig Bellamy said today when things are more about shape than formations. Our shape wasn't necessarily a true 5 at the back all season last season because Doughty was always so high. It was almost like asymmetric and the rest centre half was almost covering left back. Given the way he played at Forest Green with the 3-5-2 and given, I mean, we don't know where we're going to be. I think the only thing we know for sure is we're definitely going to be 3 at the back. I would not be surprised, given the fact that we have been relegated, that you would see a lot of games where both guys who on paper would be down as wing backs would both be as high as they were, because quite often whoever was playing right wing back would naturally be significantly deeper, particularly when it was Kabore, than Doughty was on the other side. I think we might see a situation where both wing backs will be very high an awful lot of the time.
I would absolutely love that. Like, I would love it if Chio and Doughty or Reuell and Doughty are just in line with the forward line. I love that. Hopefully we will be able to do it because we won't get punished as much in the Championship. I guess we'll have to see. Thank you very much, Steve, for joining us tonight. Really appreciate you, mate. Right. I feel we should probably keep this to sort of half an hour, shouldn't we? We got through a lot of stuff today. And if you enjoy content from the WALT Podcast, please follow across our socials. If you're watching this on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to our YouTube account. We would absolutely love it. And we're going to be bringing you so much content for the rest of this season. And we're going to be back every time we announce a new signing. Have a great evening, everyone.